Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. I already see some celebrities. We got Ms. Byrne in the audience, Ms. Diaconis, and Trustee Quo, and possibly some others. Thank you for joining us. Big hand. It wouldn't be an event without Chip Denner taking some photos. All right. So this is the Dublin High School Jazz Ensemble, and I am so proud of this group. First of all, can we just get a show of hands? How many of you performed at the Dublin Irish Guard Invitational on Saturday? So these people wear multiple hats, and not to get off topic here, but at the Invitational, they did a phenomenal job. It was a really well-organized event, and the band performed way better than they ever have in school history. The highest they've ever done at the Invitational is a 72. They got a 76. And and that may not sound like a huge difference, but like in marching band, 1 point is like the equivalent of like a letter grade. So it'd be the equivalent of going, I don't want to say they started at a D last year, because they didn't. But it would be like the equivalent of like going up 4 letter grades. So that's like crazy. So they did phenomenally. I could go on and on about that. But this jazz band is really special. We've got a lot of new members to the jazz band. So new members, raise your hand. Yeah, let's clap it up for our new members. It's quite a mix. So we've got people who are in their first year. We've got freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. We even have some people who have been here for 4 years. Like if you've been here for 4 years, raise your hand. Got a few people who have been here for a while. Couple people are playing with the orchestra. Michael's playing with the orchestra tonight, and so is Shriyan's, which is pretty cool. So anyway, it's a really special group, and the music that I gave them for this concert was hard. Like I didn't hold back. I figured they could handle it, and they worked so hard. And this is such a professional group, and I say that because we would work on certain chunks of the music, and then we would, because we wouldn't touch that chunk for a week, because we would have to work on other parts of the music or on different pieces. And the expectation was that they'd be working on it at home. So when we came back to it, it would be at the same level or better. And it was. We would go sometimes 2 weeks without working on a part of a piece of music, and we'd come back and it would sound leagues better than it did when we last worked on it. And that's only possible because they go home and every single person in this band practices a lot. And so can we just clap it up for these students? All right, so without further ado, we're going to jump right in and play the first piece for you. So this one is called Love for Sale, and I totally forgot who it features. Who's soloing on this one? We've got Easton Wen, Rohan Sudarshan, Kevin Sun, and Jaden Kwok soloing on this. Here's Love for Sale. All right. See what I mean? Like, we're not starting off slow. The next tune is it's a special one. So Dave Brubeck actually lived in California for many years. He came out with the tune Take 5. So if you ever heard of Take 5, it's the most popular jazz record of all time. And Dave Brubeck taught at Stanford University until he passed away. And the piece that we're going to play is from that same album. It's called Blue Rondo a la Turk. Came out, I think, in 1959. And on this whole album, Brubeck wanted to play around with the idea of time signature. So jazz is typically in 4/4, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With Take 5, Brubeck said, what if we had a jazz piece in 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it turned out to be a success. Well, this is another tune from the album, and in this one, Brubeck says, what if we had a piece that was in 9/8? How does 9/8 work? So 9/8 is a compound meter. It's a big grouping of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, kind of like that. That's one way to group it. Another way to group it, some simple math, you can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It adds up, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And so he does both in this piece. So he plays around with time signature. And what you have is a pretty cool groove. Funny story about this piece. So my dad, Barton Pollitt, was actually just in town. And he has a best friend they grew up together in Cleveland, Ohio. And his friend now lives in Napa. And so years ago I asked him, hey, we'd love to have you at a concert because you live in Napa, close enough to maybe drive down and see it. It's kind of a family friend. And what piece would you like us to play? He said, Blue Rondo a la Turk. So this piece is dedicated to him. He couldn't make it tonight, but it was really fun to kind of do that 4 years ago, and then in honor of my dad kind of coming out and seeing him, I was like, it'd be cool if we did Blue Rondo a la Turk again. So totally different band, and this one is going to feature, help me out, Jaden Agan on the alto saxophone and Michael Oliveira on the trumpet. And that's it. All right, please enjoy Blue Rondo a la Turk, Dave Brubeck. the jazz band doing awesome? Like, let's give another hand. All right, yeah, I couldn't be more proud of this group of students. So we're gonna slow things down a little bit and play a ballad. And this is a classic in the jazz world. And actually, on that note, we've been talking a lot about jazz standards and what is the canon of jazz. Just like in in academia, we have maybe like the great books, the great literature, and the canon of literature. Well, in jazz, there's this canon of jazz music, this list of maybe 300-something tunes that are basically reimagined every time an artist wants to, explore that piece. Blue Mountain a la Turk is an example. You've probably heard lots of Take 5 as an example. All of Me. These are all examples of jazz standards. And this is another one. Love for Sale, the first one, was a jazz standard. So this is another one. This one's a ballad called My Funny Valentine, and it's going to feature Easton Wen on the alto saxophone. I'm so sorry. And how could I forget? And Evan Brown on the trumpet. Easton and Evan. Alright, so the next tune is a Gordon Goodwin tune. And anytime we play Gordon Goodwin, it has a very special place in our hearts. So I'm going to start from the very beginning, try not to talk too much. I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Most stories start that way. When I was in high school jazz band, the first piece I ever played was called Hunting Wabbits by Gordon Goodwin. These students actually probably don't know that. This is the first piece I ever played in high school jazz band. And I fell in love with this piece. It's so fun and so quirky. It actually is a reference to Bugs Bunny, and it's wabbit hunting season. So it's a reference to that. It's a very tongue-in-cheek piece, but it's also super swinging, and it has samba, Latin. But the other reason that Gordon Goodwin tunes are really special to us is because last year, many of these students got to meet Gordon Goodwin. And Gordon Goodwin is a really, really famous jazz arranger, fantastic pianist. He's a traditionalist in jazz, but also does a lot of experimental and fun and music that's really entertaining, especially for younger students. But raise your hand if you were with us when we saw the Big Fat Band in Yoshi's last year. So these students got to see Gordon Goodwin live. We went to Yoshi's jazz club in Oakland, and we all went out to dinner and had sushi, and then we just watched this band that we looked up to because we've been playing his music for a long time, and it was like, we get to meet the band. And the kids were so nerdy, they got their music signed by everyone. They loved it, it was awesome. So then the coolest thing happened. We actually got an invitation by our good friend John Palacio, who's the director of jazz studies at Chabot College, and he said, Wayne Bergeron, who's the lead trumpet of Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band, is doing a concert at Chabot College, and they invited us to come join. And one of the things we got to do was Wayne Bergeron sat in with the band and played lead trumpet, which is super cool. And Wayne Bergeron's not just the lead trumpet in the Big Fat Band, but he's also the lead trumpet. If you've seen the movie The Incredibles, he plays lead trumpet in the soundtrack. And also, if you've ever seen the show Family Guy or American Dad, I'm not encouraging you, but if you've seen it, he plays the, like, you hear those jingles, like, in between scenes. That's Wayne Bergeron playing that. So anyway, so he's the lead trumpet. So we have a very close relationship with the Big Fat Man, with Gordon Goodwin and Wayne Bergeron. And so it's really fun every time I get to play one of their pieces. So this one is a feature for a lot of people. It features the saxophone section in the beginning, features the trombone section shortly afterward. It's got all sorts of percussion. We've got conga, bongos, triangle, and then who are our soloists on this one? We've got AJ Tolentino on the trombone, and that's it. Okay, cool. Well, we hope you enjoy Hunting Wabbits. trombone. Yeah, what an outstanding group of students. Just so thankful to have all these students here. Our jazz band's bigger than last year, by the way. We took a lot of students, we took a lot of people in the percussion section, so you can see we've got we've got a few drummers, and now that kind of opens the ability to do things like having conga and bongo players, and triangle, xylophone, and now vibraphone. That's actually Marco, he's not a percussionist, he's coming over from trombone to play vibraphone. And he's our head coach. So a great group of students, and I'm super thankful. Very thankful for all of you parents for supporting always. I know this is a tricky time of year, especially jazz is the busiest group by far because you do the field show season, and then it's like jazz doesn't stop. It just seems to accelerate throughout the year. So thank you for all the rides that you give, and thanks for your support and volunteering if you've done that, but just all the driving and everything that you do to make these students successful. They are very successful so far. And thank you if you're not a parent and you're just coming to watch. We appreciate you coming to watch. It's a great group of students, and I'm glad we get to celebrate them. Thank you, administration, for supporting us always. Thank you, Mr. Fresquez, and the Performing Arts Center crew for doing sound. If you didn't know, we got all these wireless mics here, so there's someone in the back who's controlling the volume level for all the solos. That's not an easy job, so we appreciate you. Can we just give a big hand to the Performing Arts Center staff? Thank you, custodial. Thank you, everyone at the district office. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to play one more piece, which is a Chick Corea classic. Chick Corea was a great pianist. Totally changed the way we understand jazz. Sadly passed away, I think, 2 years ago, something like that. And this is a special piece because this was actually one of the first pieces that I programmed when I took this job at Dublin High School. 6 years ago now? Wow, this is my 6th year. So it's fun. It's a trip down memory lane. And these students are playing it really awesomely. And one thing we didn't get to do when we played it back then is have the vibraphone part covered, at least not with as much enthusiasm as it is right now. So that's pretty awesome. Marco's done an awesome job, not only playing trombone, but also he's practiced this part outside. Every day I see him out here getting ready for this. So just a testament. All right, so Send Your Mouse, and this was originally a piano piece, so it's been kind of arranged for a jazz band. So I definitely recommend after this you go home and you listen to Send Your Mouse by Chick Corea. It's really cool. So this one, who's this going to feature? This one has Michael Oliver again on trumpet. Marco is playing a soli with Easton and Evan, and Rohan's taking a solo as well, and Bardia on guitar. So quite a few soloists. All right. By the way, I'm really proud of everyone's soloing ability. We dedicate the first half an hour-ish every Thursday to just practicing soloing and learning how to read changes and learning what makes a good solo and how do you use space and how do you figure out which notes to play and how do you use volume and how do you play in the right style. So that's something that the students have been working on really diligently, and I think they've done a great job. So great job to all of our soloists. All right, so thanks again for coming. Without further ado, here is our final piece, Send Your Mouse by Chick Corea. And just to be clear, it's Michael's playing an orchestra, so is Noah, and Shreyan's is also playing in the orchestra. So if you want to stick around, did I forget anyone? No. If you want to stick around, orchestra starts at 7 with the Philharmonic Orchestra, and then 7:30 is our chamber orchestra. Thanks so much for coming out. One more big hand for the Double High Jazz.